What is going on, guys? Patrick here. I had planned to take you to about four different stores today with me, but number two, my favorite, the Savers that I just love so much, the footage completely got ruined. I don't know what happened. I think I might have been so excited to be there that I got out of the car, thought I turned on my camera, and instead turned it off because I had maybe forgotten to turn it off at the last place. I don't know. But we're going to make do with what we got. So, a short video today, but some fun things to see. We went to this Goodwill first thing in the morning. And normally, like I like to do in this one, I like to go back to the electronics. I did make a quick pit stop over at the books you saw because I thought I saw something with Mario Kart, which it was, but it was just a little remote control toy. Kind of neat, but not what I thought it was. So I just kept on going. You can see the electronic section's about the way it's been the last couple times I've been here. They do have quite a bit of video games in the case, though. Um, Nothing too exciting, and of course, they're looking for um, probably Target clearance prices here still. You can see that whenever it's that white tag in there, usually that means it's a clearance item from Target. I wasn't too interested in looking them up. I think probably if I get into doing what is it, Amazon FBA, that they might be a pretty good pickup for that. But for sure, when I'm still doing just eBay, they're not selling for very much there. So you can see I went over to the case and I headed over to the bags, and there's actually some pretty interesting bags in here. So I do take a look at a couple of these. You probably have to come back tomorrow and see if I bought any of them or not. Um, I think it was Bonafide Hustler that got me into bags a couple of years ago. He had published a bag guide. I bought it and I read it and I studied it. And one of these internal frame backpacks like this, I saw it can do well. That one I didn't really see a brand on it, and it was definitely personalized for somewhere else. So I was like, not going to worry about it. So after that Goodwill, I went to Savers, and come back tomorrow. See what I got. I actually did find a couple things. Then we headed to this second Goodwill of the day, which very very light shelf again, but some interesting things to look at. Not a ton of stuff, but had a good time here. Like just it's slowly starting to get their shelves filled up again. So I'm hoping that maybe within a couple weeks I'll start to be able to find things at this Goodwill again. It almost seems like they did a giant purge of all of their shelves like at the end of 2020 because in December for sure I was finding things here. I found a couple good VCRs here recently, a couple DVD VHS players, and I found a huge lot of video games right at the end of last year. So it's been odd just at the beginning of 2021, just nothing to be found. You can see even like this is not too long after opening. There's just nobody in here, so people are just kind of realizing that there's just not a lot of stuff to see. I didn't know what that was. I probably should have looked it up just because I was curious, but you saw I put it right back. Let's see. There's something interesting on the shelf in the bottom right there. There's a little electronic stapler, and I actually did end up looking that up, and it does pretty well. Like I probably could have sold it for like I want to say like $12 in the condition it was in. If it had its power cord, like its AC adapter, it probably would have gone for more like $30 to $40. So I think my range originally was like 12 to 20, something like that. So I ended up leaving it behind. If it had that AC adapter, I would have been buying it for sure. Man, like even the cases are empty at this place. There's even a couple things that I've seen in there for like months now, and I'm just like, maybe this Goodwill should have purged some of that stuff when they purged the rest of it. So I headed back after the case, looked at the bags, um, found a couple interesting things to look at. This one here, a North Face backpack, it was named. It's in good shape. So I took some time looking through, trying to find a price. I don't know if it's the same at your Goodwill or not, but they always just find like some random flap and write the price inside with a permanent marker, which is always the worst. I have bought a few bags over the years from these places, and I can get it out. A little bit of probably nail polish remover, maybe some alcohol will help get it out, but it is a pain. And you can see I'm struggling. I can't even find the price on this thing. So I have to assume that they're going to have it priced at the top of the line as far as pricing goes, which is going to be like $12 to $15, something like that. I did look it up and it had some value, but not at that price point. I took a look at these. They were $2 each. I love to buy these during the summer garage sales. They sell for about $2 each though on eBay for sure, especially if you can get them in a lot of like, I don't know, probably at least 10. They're going to do pretty well. Okay, so as you can see, I'm arriving at the third Goodwill of the day. I headed right back to the electronics. I was starting to get low on time, had an appointment that I was going to have to be at in about 20 minutes, and I was like, you know what? Let's just get in here early. I've always been interested in these RC car frames. I know I've seen a few different guys on YouTube talking about them over the years, but honestly, I don't know anything about it. So I was mostly just looking at it to see if it felt quality. And when I turned it over, it didn't seem like it was anything special. So I just put it back, didn't even think to look it up. One of the hardest things about this specific Goodwill is that the cell service is terrible inside. So even if I do want to look something up back when I'm sort of towards the back of the store here, I'm not going to be able to do it. I'm going to have to put my item in a cart and go look it up and come back and pick it up maybe. Didn't know what this thing was. It was super heavy. It seemed interesting. If you know what it is, give me a comment down below. Tell me what it is. Maybe I should have picked it up. I have no idea. They last week when or maybe it was the last time I was here, there was three little handheld camcorders in the case in the front, and I ended up picking up one of them. And the other two, I was like, nah, they weren't so great. And of course, by this week, they were out of the case and now back here on the shelves. You saw me kind of looking at one of them there for a second. They are okay. I thought this was funny. This employee here was like asking me questions about what I thought this was, and he was like, "This is a weird device on the bottom," and I was like, "Oh, it's a music box." And sure enough, it had a little like activation peg. When you set the music box down, it would play, and he thought that was really interesting. So teaching people how to be humans, I guess. I don't know. Just funny that that's something that he didn't know about, and it's something that I probably learned when I was very young. So here's the other one. You can see it's just one of the longer ones, which they don't have as much value as the small, really the hand-sized ones, I guess I'll call it. I was checking this box to see if it was a docking station. I have bought a few of those over the years, and a couple of them have done pretty well.
Patrick the Picker.
Hey. How you doing, dude?
How you doing?
Good.
Enjoying your videos.
Loved it. This is one of the first people subscribed to my channel. Ran into him before, ran into him this time. And while I was talking to him, this thing down here on the shelf caught my eye. Didn't know what it was. I knew it was some kind of a projector, but I was like, what the heck is this thing? So I turned it over, and it turns out it's an overhead projector. And I was like, well, I got to look this thing up then, not remembering, oh, right, I don't have any ability to actually look things up at the back of the store. So I was like, I'll put it back. Maybe I'll look it up before I leave. So him and I were chatting a little bit more, looking at these cameras. We both agreed they're just complete garbage, like not even worth picking up. Not only are they just not as valuable, we're in pretty bad condition too. Usually at this end of the electronics section, you start to get into a little bit of some kitchen items. So this is where I'm going to look for Nordic ware in this store. And then they usually put all of the really big toy items over on the left over there. So I don't usually buy anything from here, but they had a couple interesting things to look at today. This is another category that I'm looking to learn more about, which is tennis rackets, right? I've never bought one, but I always look at them when I see them. I've made myself a little list of what to look at, but I haven't taken the plunge yet and actually bought anything. There was two more on this side of the aisle. This one's with cases, but I also know that there's a wide spectrum of value in this category, right? Some of these are going to be entry level, some of them are going to be kids versions, right? You got to have some cheap ones for that, and then you're going to have the ultra high end where they're worth hundreds of dollars potentially. So they all looked pretty good. Usually when I find these, the grips are destroyed. They've been hit on the ground 100 times, but what are you going to do? So I was like, well, I'll head over to the toys and see what I can find over here. And immediately I started seeing some interesting things up on the shelf. This was really interesting to me. I have bought Transformers from this Goodwill in the past, probably about a year ago. I wasn't sure if they were Target clearance or what. They certainly looked like they might have been, but they didn't have that white sticker that you usually have on them. So I was very interested in those. definitely wanted to look it up. There's the Harry Potter scene, and I've seen this one a couple times. You got to find the one that's the full years before you can pick it up. You got to get that one. So I headed up, looked them up, put them in my cart. Definitely wanted to get those toys. My buddy and I here were looking in the case at the video games. Nothing interesting. I figured at the time I was in the front of the store, I looked up that projector. And a little bit of a spoiler, I did end up picking this up. It was $7. Come back tomorrow. I'll tell you how much I think it's worth. But it does work. So that was really good news. I was really glad that it worked. There's a couple things that didn't work that I bought this week. So again, you have to check that out tomorrow. So that was it for this Goodwill. I don't think I ever went back and looked up anything else that I thought I might want to look up in this store. I was like, I got to get going. My wife's in the car waiting for me. We got to get to our appointment. So I headed up, got in line, and was getting ready to go. If you have enjoyed this video, please do give me a thumbs up. It will come up any second now, I'm sure, or I will have to edit a little bit more audio into this. And if you're interested in more stuff like this, please do subscribe to my channel. Once again, thank you to all my new subscribers. My name is Patrick, and thank you very much.